Hey y'all, welcome back to Homemade Simple. I'm really glad you're here today. If we've not met before, I'm Lori. I love to share videos each week to help you on your homemaking and frugal living journey. Today's video is all about spending a little bit of time in the kitchen on the weekend to have nourishing and healthy meals ready to go in our pantry for our families when they're running out the door to all of their different obligations throughout the week. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I also really hope you will try these recipes. They all turned out really delicious, especially the Pop Tarts. So I'm excited to share these recipes with you. Let's get started in the kitchen. First up in our lineup of quick and easy convenience breakfasts that we can make at home on a really tight budget and with minimal effort and time is raisin bread. My family loves a good loaf of raisin bread, and we can eat a loaf in less than a day. So we're gonna throw together a homemade batch of raisin bread for us to enjoy this week. I'm gonna start off with 3 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 tablespoon of dry active yeast. I'm gonna mix these dry ingredients together, and I'm gonna cut in 2 tablespoons of butter. You can do this with a fork if you don't have a pastry blender. And I'm gonna add 1 cup of warm water. I'll mix this together with my spoon, and then when it's able to be kneaded, I will knead it on my counter. Got the dough kneaded into a nice ball. It's no longer tacky at all. It's well combined. I've kneaded it probably for about 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna flatten it out now, and I'm going to add the raisins. This is optional. If you would rather just have cinnamon bread, then you don't have to add the raisins, but I'm just gonna stretch the bread out, and I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of raisins. If you want to do this in your KitchenAid with the dough hook, this part of the recipe will be much easier. But I'm just going to sort of roll them up like that. I'm going to put this in a bowl and allow it to rise for about 2 hours until it's doubled in size. The raisin bread has risen for about 2 hours, so I'm going to take it out and knead it again. I'm just gonna sort of form it into a log shape, and I've got my loaf pan here. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of olive oil and wipe that around. I'm gonna place it into the loaf pan and again let it rise for another hour or so, and then we'll be ready to bake it. Okay, it's risen for about another hour. It's nice and elevated over the top of the loaf pan. So I'm gonna bake this in a 375-degree oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. The raisin bread just came out of the oven. It looks really good. I'm gonna try to get it to release out of this pan without it sticking. Let's see how that goes. Well, I'm pretty sure my family's gonna be really excited to have homemade raisin bread for their mornings this week. Let me know in the comment section what your family's favorite breakfast bread is. Pretty sure I don't know a single child who does not love Pop Tarts, but all of the moms that I know hesitate to buy them because of all of the gross ingredients. We're gonna solve that problem today with homemade Pop Tarts. So your kids are gonna love you, and you're gonna love yourself, and everybody's gonna be happy. We're gonna start by making the filling. These are gonna be brown sugar flavored. So we're gonna start with 3/4 cup packed brown sugar. We're gonna add 1 tablespoon of flour, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of salt. We're gonna mix these dry ingredients together. Okay, got all those mixed together. Now I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of melted butter and 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla. I told y'all I would tell you about this homemade vanilla syrup. I have made this out of vanilla beans that I bought on Amazon. I'll link them down in the description box below. And food grade glycerin. You slice the vanilla beans crossways so that the seeds are exposed, and you put them into a jar and you fill the jar up, covering the vanilla beans with this food grade glycerin. I will link that down below as well. And then leave it on your counter and shake it every day. Give it a really good shake for about 30 days. And then hide it in a really dark place so that it can sort of cure for maybe a month or 2 months. And then it'll be ready to use. The good news is you can reuse these vanilla beans. Now the flavor might get less and less, and so you might want to add a couple of new ones each batch. But this is an inexpensive way of making your own vanilla extract. It also adds a bit of sweetness from the glycerin to whatever recipe you're adding it to. So I have really had good success with this. It has worked well for us, and we have not had any problems with the recipes that we've made with this homemade vanilla extract. So check down in the description box if you want to make that, and let me know if you do how it turns out. Okay, I'm gonna mix this filling together, and when it is completely combined, I'm gonna set it aside and we will make our pastry. For the dough, we're gonna start with 1½ cup all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar. I'm gonna take a stick of butter and I'm gonna slice it into 1/2 tablespoon slices. I'm gonna blend this together with my pastry blender. Again, you can use a fork to do this if you don't have a pastry blender. Okay, they are about pea-sized pieces of butter now, so that's good enough for us to add our last ingredient for the dough, which is cold water. So I've got 1/2 cup of water here. I'm gonna add 1 ice cube to it and let it chill. And then I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of water at a time. I'm gonna start with 3 tablespoons. And then I will add more if the dough is not completely incorporated. So you're really just going for a pie crust here. That's really what you're doing. Gonna need at least 2 more tablespoons because that's really dry still. I'm gonna add 1 more, so this is a total of 6 tablespoons. Okay, I'm gonna try to mix this quickly so that my hands don't heat up the dough. Okay, so here's our dough. I'm gonna go get some parchment paper. I'll be right back. If you make this on parchment paper, it just makes it simpler to transfer to your cookie sheet. I've got a well-formed ball of that dough, and I'm gonna roll it out very thin. We're talking like, just like a pie crust. It's looking like it wants to stick. So I'm gonna put a little bit of flour on it. My dough rolled out, so now I'm going to cut the dough into individual rectangles. You can put the scraps back with the other dough and re-knead it, and then I'm just going to cut this in half lengthwise and in thirds this way. Again, the valuable term that we need to learn is rustic. These are rustic Pop Tarts, so they're not going to be perfect, but we're going to set these to the side on another piece of parchment paper. make an egg wash for the Pop-Tarts too. So this is gonna include 1 large egg, a pinch of salt, and 1 teaspoon of water. I'm gonna whisk that together. I'm gonna assemble the Pop-Tarts now. Okay, I've got the rectangles sort of grouped together in like sizes as much as I could. So I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of this filling to half of the pastries. Now I'm just going to sort of spread it around and get it close to the edge. But obviously you don't want it going over the edge. You want to be able to connect the top and the bottom pieces. So maybe a fork would be better for this, but I'm just going to use what I have dirty already. Now we're just going to combine both pieces of pastry. All right, now we're going to take a fork and we're going to press all 4 edges of each of the pastry . Gotten all of the pastries pressed together, and now I'm gonna brush the tops with this egg wash. Okay, now I'm gonna bake them in a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. These homemade Pop-Tarts actually turned out to look even better than the store-bought ones. I'm really excited about having these in my pantry for my family, and I hope your family enjoys them too. Last but certainly not least, we're gonna make a homemade granola that is going to be delicious and shelf stable for at least a week, maybe 2. This is gonna be a really quick and easy go-to breakfast. So we're gonna start by adding 6 cups of oats. And to the oats, I'm going to add 1.5 cup of chopped walnuts. You can use almonds, pecans, any other kind of nut that you choose. I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of flax seeds, about a cup of this sweetened coconut. You can add raisins, you can add diced apples, any other kind of dried fruit. Let's give this a good stir. I'm gonna set this to the side, and now I'm gonna mix the wet ingredients. So we need 1/2 cup of maple syrup, 1/3 cup packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup melted coconut oil. You can also use butter. Let's mix this together. And now let's pour the wet ingredients over into the dry ingredient bowl. You want your oven to be heating to about 250 degrees. So go ahead and do that before you stir this together. But now we're just wanting to coat all of the oats with that sweetened oil mixture. Okay, I think that's all coated. I'm gonna go get some more parchment paper and line a large cookie sheet with the parchment paper. Now I'm going to just spread it on an even layer. Just gonna try to spread it as evenly as I can, as thin as I can, and then we will put this in a 250-degree oven. We will set the timer for about 10 minutes, and then we will stir it. So we're gonna end up cooking this about 50 to 60 minutes, but we're gonna stir it every 10 minutes or so to make sure that everything gets nice and browned. This granola turned out to be so hearty and delicious. I love to eat my granola in a bowl with some milk. Let me know in the comments below how you like your granola. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I want to let you know all of the recipes are down in the description box. You can also find them on my website, myhomemadesimple.com. I will link that down in the description box as well. I Also have a Patreon account. If you're interested in checking that out, we have some exciting things coming up for all of the Patreon members. I hope that you will check that out. I will link that down in the description box below as well. Also, please make sure to share all of your favorite pantry stable breakfast recipes down in the comment section. I would love to hear about all of your great ideas for making a quick and easy breakfast ahead of time for your family so that they can have nourishing food on the go. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you again next time.